Namaste. How's it going out there? How's everyone doing? Welcome back. I'm gonna see, I don't know. I'm just gonna tinker around with this thing. The city, New China. Uh, so, started up a couple housekeeping things, as they say. Started a Twitter spirit mixtape. Check it out on Twitter. Doing a lot of posts up on there. Becoming, just using it as a springboard for any type of ghostwriting opportunities that may come down the line. So if anybody in the spiritual game is looking for a Twitter ghostwriter, just let me know. Hit me up. I have an email. Hit me up in the email and YouTube. Go to my Twitter. DM me. Blah blah blah. Spirit mixtape. That's what it is. I watched this mini series called Waco, and Waco: The Aftermath. It's on Showtime. Go ahead and check that out. You can see how damaging the ego can be when communication breaks down and negotiation fails. Really crazy situation that happened there. The old Branch Davidians. Tell you what. But yeah, in this talk, I hope you enjoy it. It's mainly about spiritual practice. So I would recommend, please find a nice, comfortable place to sit and hang out for a little while if you feel up for it. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy this. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Any feedback is welcome. Any questions you have, let me know. And without further ado, I hope you enjoy spiritual practice. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Namaste. I hope all is well. It is a wonderful delight to be here with you right now. Thank you. Oh, what a cool headspace chanting can get us in. Chanting is a really good spiritual practice for so many reasons, but it's interesting how there's a focus on doing when we chant. We're doing a chant. We're focusing on a doingness. It's that's unlike meditation, where meditation is stillness. And moving from an aspect, moving from an aspect of doing, which is thinking, into stillness. And then the purpose of meditation would to be sitting in the stillness and when doing comes up, when thinking comes up, using the doorway that stillness is created, go back to the door, go through the doorway, become the stillness again. In chanting, we focus on the words. We focus not on the thoughts and any other actions, but we just focus on the words that are coming out. And we get our attention finely crafted to the very tip of the word, to the sound. Every moment broken down into a very fine place that we attune to in the chant. And when we chant, thoughts will come up, like in meditation, thoughts come up, and then it's about bringing your attention back to the words instead of to the stillness. And the reason why the words, focusing on the words is effective is because typically the words are the name of God, or a name for God, for whatever you imagine God to be. And saying the name of God, whatever that means to you, whatever that is, actually is being in the presence of God. The name of God is God itself. And that's when we can focus on the name, when we say the name, focus our attention to the sayingness in that moment, we are putting our awareness on the divine. And when we're looking at divinity, we're not looking at the things about us or in our environment. We're not looking at those things which inhibit our view of God. And a truth that we can see when we're focused on God is the oneness of everything. We realize in this spiritual practice of chanting that by focusing our attention to just the name of God, we become God. We are God. The only thing that stops us from embodying this enlightened state, this Buddha state, this understanding, the only thing that inhibits that is the mind chatter. I read this really interesting quote from this kind of rebellious, enlightened being, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. He's like this monk back in the 60s. I don't know what happened there, but, some crazy 60s shit was going on, and you can read about him. But he had some profound insights, and he was generous enough to share those insights with the United States, with a Western perspective. And I think that helped a lot. So one of the things that he said, this is a cool quote, it says, "Gentle day's flower, the hummingbird competes with the stillness of the air." Think about that. Think about how that little hummingbird, its little tiny heart is beating so fast, its wings flapping, it's constantly staying vigilant for its surroundings, trying to get that tiny little beak inside of a flower, just trying to do its thing. It's just going crazy 1,000 miles an hour. That's our mind. That's our mind. That is competing with stillness. And so we take that chant, we take that little hummingbird, and we point that little beak, that the little tiny eyes and even its little beating heart, and we point that right towards stillness. And then we're aware of those tiny little gaps. We're aware of the presence and the stillness in between the words, in between the actions, in between the breath. And when we become attuned to these spaces, like now, we start moving forward more consciously. We can start to cultivate a practice of shifting our awareness from the chatter in the head back down to stillness, beingness. Moving from mind chatter to stillness, we realize that things are always changing. One of the most fundamental teachings in Buddhism that apparently just by understanding this one little teaching, it's actually awakened several people. But by just simply understanding that everything in its nature that has in its nature to arise will change and will pass away, by understanding that everything in its nature that has, I'm going to say this again, maybe it'll awaken somebody. Anything that has in its nature to arise will also pass away. That understanding allows us to disconnect from the hummingbird identification. Our identity typically lingers on ideas given to us by society, culture, animalistic base level pleasures and desires, and all of those things go into crafting a story. And that story we become identified with. That story arose. Stories are naturally arising, therefore they will also pass away. If your story is I am X, Y, and Z, and you start to label, be rest assured that will also change and pass away. The identification that you hold in stories is called your ego. And the ego is a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible master. The trick with the ego is to build it up and then give it away. And the more we become identified in the story, the stickier the story gets, the stickier the ego is, and the harder it is for us to realize our true beingness. And like the hummingbird is in the air, truth surrounds and permeates every aspect of the story. There's a little truth to everything. A little bit of truth here, a little bit of truth there. If there wasn't truth here or there, if there wasn't truth a little bit permeating into everything, then there wouldn't be an understanding. We couldn't use it as a story if there wasn't a little bit of truth there. So even though everything changes, there's a little bit of truth in everything. It's just going to look a little bit different because it's arising and it's passing. Rise, pass. So there are pockets of transcendent truth that transcends the intellectual, rational thinking mind in order for us to be self-aware. Truth comes into our lives in little pockets, and we can use those little pockets to cultivate loving awareness, truth, beingness, the end of suffering, etc. And every time that we use a spiritual practice such as chanting, we are planting a seed of loving, kind, awareness, completeness, etc. We are opening that door for truth to come in, and we're practicing that acceptance. This makes sense to me as I'm saying it, but then I'm also thinking, wow, this could be sounding very woo-woo. Like it could mean nothing to so many people. In that case, just trust me. Just believe that spiritual practice, meditation, chanting, whatever it may be, just believe that is helpful. Even if you don't understand or see it, you can just believe it. It's enough. It's enough. Let's explore another nice little meditation. Just maybe 5 minutes. So go ahead and, if you're not already, get comfortable. You can do that sitting, lying down. Go ahead and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths at your own pace. Notice the rise and the fall of your breath. There's no need to change your breath in any way. Just simply observe it as it is. As you breathe, go ahead and bring your mind to a feeling of kindness and compassion. This could be a feeling of love, warmth, goodwill. If your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to your breath. Bring the mind to a feeling of kindness and compassion as you come back. Now, with each breath, send this feeling of kindness right back to yourself. And we can say to ourselves, may I be well, or may I be happy. And continue to breathe and send yourself some kindness for a few minutes. May I be well, or I may be happy. May I be happy. When you're ready, open your eyes, return to your day. How was that? That's pretty nice. It was nice for me. It's not always nice like that. That's why meditation is a practice. And when you practice, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the nice thing about meditation practice is it's your own practice. So you can also practice on being patient and gentle with yourself. It's nice. Oh man, oh man. And that's, there's other spiritual practices as well, I would say, that I would encourage people to kind of explore if they're interested. Maybe meditation is just not your thing. I mean, I have talked to people with ADD who have tried to meditate, and it's really difficult. It really doesn't help. So, and some people, like, me, I don't have a good singing voice. Like, I'm kind of, I don't have the best discernment when it comes to having the right tone. I'm not going to say I'm tone deaf, but I'm tone illiterate. And so, like, there's other stuff you can do, like, oh God, I just hate listening to my voice. I hate singing and all that, and I have ADD, so I can't be still. There's these different yogas. Like, there's this interesting yoga called karma yoga. I was taking a class trying to learn about this stuff, and one of my peers asked me, hey, do you know what karma yoga is? She was testing me, and I just you talking from intuition, I just said it's using the things that arise in our lives as a pointer back to the realization, which isn't totally correct. Karma can be translated into doing, and so it's really about service. It's about doing things and using your actions, like, how you sing and whatnot. It's an act. But then, like, how you serve people. Serve people like they're the divine Lord. Like, you can see God manifest as people or as things, but probably people, and then treat them with your full heart. And when you're serving people as you would be serving God, you are graced with divinity. One of my favorite lines in the Ramayana, which I'm not going to be able to translate accurately, but the gist of it is that you have Ram, who is God, Rama, and his faithful battle buddy partner guy, like the dude, the friend, the best friend, is Hanuman. Hanuman is a monkey, and he hangs out in a beautiful garden. And so Ram comes and visits Hanuman in the garden, and he asks Hanuman, "Who are you, dude?" And Hanuman looks at God and says, when I don't know who I am, I serve you. And when I know who I am you. When I don't know who I am, I serve you. When I know who I am you.